sometimes I still get surprised when people are attracted to me. And I think it's because, like, listen, I was a mid guy for like 20 years. Sometimes I just kind of forget that I'm a hot woman now.
Get a haircut, hippie.
Sir, whoa. Hold on one second, sir. Let me explain something to you. You are still the same, what was the term used, mid guy that you've always been. You just have long hair now. That's it. That's it. That's it. Anyway, welcome back. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Real quick video today. No groundbreaking news, no big updates or anything like that. I just wanted to come on here and once again state my case about how all the madness that we're seeing in this country and the world right now is not happening organically. It is being pushed on us. It is an agenda. I was out and about running errands today, and I was overwhelmed by the amount of LPD. Not again.
LGBTQ2+.
Isn't that exactly what you know what? Never mind. Anyway, it was overwhelming the amount of apparel and signage and flags and bumper stickers and propaganda from that community. Rainbows were literally everywhere, hanging on churches, flagpoles out front of schools, including an elementary school. I saw that with my own eyes. This sign smack dab in the middle of college campus at the University of Southern Maine. Here we have one hanging directly under the sign for the Seattle Children's Museum. And then we have this in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It seems like that whole town is covered in rainbows.
Pride benches. Yeah, get down, take a seat. Pride colors intersect.
Ha! Gay!
Unbelievable. So there's rainbows everywhere, and I say this in just about every video, but I don't understand why a children's museum or a elementary school would be promoting or supporting what two grown adults do in the privacy of their own homes and, behind closed doors. Very bizarre. And then they're putting teachers like this in the schools to pump this stuff into the kids' brains more. Roll the film, please.
So the conversation I talked about in my last video is a lot like a lot of the conversations I have about queerness and transness with my kids. Because I work in a conservative area and I'm an out non-binary trans teacher, I have to tread very lightly for fear of losing my job. And so a lot of times I put it in terms of hypotheticals with the kids. I say, oh, some people like to use this. When I talk about my title, mix, I say, oh, it's just a third alternative to Mr., Ms. that some people like to use. I let them kind of draw their own conclusions when it comes back to me, while also keeping it general enough to not bring the heat on myself.
What the f*** is wrong with you?
So that teacher who identifies as trans non-binary said she talks to her students about queerness and transness. Why? Why not just talk to them about math and science? English and history? Like, why? Anyway, let's see what this gem has to say. Roll the film.
One of my favorite ways to engage with transphobes is to ask them very simple questions about the humanity of trans people. So the one that I've been doing a lot more recently, instead of engaging in lots of long debates about being trans or like the transgender ideology bull, I ask, do you know any trans people in real life? Do you know any non-binary people in real life? Because if you don't, honestly, shut the up. Because if you don't know the lived experience of these people, like if you don't know someone well enough, a trans person well enough to invite them to dinner over at your house, you don't know a trans person. You can't just be like, oh yeah, so-and-so has they, them pronouns and they're my friend. Just to say that you're not a transphobe. Shut the up. That's like saying I have a black friend, I'm not racist. Do you know trans people in real life? Because if you don't know what the you're talking about. You're listening to politicians, you're listening to random on social media. Just shut the up and leave these humans alone. Honestly, it's not that hard.
In your circle, I'm sure you got all kinds of gays and trans whatevers of all stripes. but not where I come from.
No, I'm sorry, young lady. I don't have any they-thems in my life because if any of my friends were a they-them, I would sit them down and have a long talk with them, tell them to tighten up, let's focus on reality and succeeding and not being a victim. We would work it out. Anyway, what you're going to see right here is what happens when these people get affirmed. When they get affirmed as stunning and brave, you're stunning and brave. This is exactly what happens. Roll the film.
You want to know what I don't talk about enough? When people say that I'm brave or that they need my confidence. Like, I don't think that you realize that that's not a compliment. And that, like, existing in a fat body, in a fat trans body, is not something that is, like, brave or, like, you know, like, I mean, it is revolutionary, but that's another conversation. I don't know. It just bothers the shit out of me when people are like, you're so brave. You're so confident. What do you do? And I'm like,
I've got more chins than a Chinese phone book.
Listen, it's nice to compliment people and make them feel good, but if someone truly cared about this young lady, if someone truly loved her, they would sit her down and say, listen, the lifestyle you are living is not that healthy and it's probably going to end up fairly destructive. So here are some recommendations, some suggestions that you may find helpful. Now, she may not find them helpful, but just to bombard these people with compliments and call them stunning and brave and affirm them constantly, it's not doing anyone any good, especially not them. Anyway, let's keep it moving. All right, before we go any further, I got to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to let this loop on the screen a few times for your viewing pleasure, of course. You're welcome. Anyway, today's video is being brought to us by our great friend, Eric Bosch, all the way from the Netherlands. Eric, thank you so much, sir, for the continued love and support. I truly appreciate it. You guys are keeping this ship afloat as the YouTube's overlords are still trying to sink us. So, Eric Bosch, thank you, sir. Now, if you'd like to sponsor the next video and help support the channel, there is a PayPal link in the description box below, and I will say your full name as a sponsor of said video unless stated otherwise by you. Let's get this off the screen. Ooh.
What the f*** was that?
Ladies, be careful out there. You could be sharing a restroom with him, so listen, that's the world we live in. Be prepared. Anyway, I'm going to be wrapping it up on this one. I can't take anymore, and who better to end the video with than former Vice President Joe Biden's publicist, diversity hire, Karine Jean-Pierre. Now, of course, these people think Trump is the biggest criminal in the world, and somehow Joe Biden's squeaky clean. Very, very, very bizarre. I mean, they're obviously just lying. They don't think that. But anyway, guys, things are getting crazy out there. So please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Till next time, love you guys. Peace. Roll the film.
But of course, the president is a president that follows the law and does these types of things in the appropriate fashion, the appropriate way.
Bullshit. Total f***ing bull.
And you ain't black.